Only 2 exercises needed for volleyball? You're kidding. Nope, and we're gonna start right now. You see, in volleyball, a lot of athletes are gonna be jumping bilaterally. They're gonna be blocking in that overhead position. So it's a perfect chance for us to do power jerks, right? Well, actually no, we're gonna do something else. So in a sport that's so bilaterally focused, there can be a lot of issues, especially in a sport like volleyball where there's a lot of jumping, a lot of grounding, a lot of deceleration at rapid speeds. So when you're looking at volleyball, you've got to think about what exercises, one, can help our sports performance, but also can prevent any type of injury. And that's where this exercise is going to come into play. It's going to be a slow eccentric single leg squat, okay? So we're going to go nice and controlled. Like 3 to 4 second eccentric and then drive up fast. 1, 2. Okay, so that would be the main movement that we want to build towards. Now, what does that look like if we're not doing that exercise, or if we're not strong enough to have a barbell on our back with 60 plus kilos through that slow eccentric position? The slow eccentric is gonna help strengthen the knee joint. It's gonna help strengthen that trunk control and your hips. So we can use different variations, and we'll start with one. If you've got a younger volleyball player, they can just do single leg squats here, okay? Nice and controlled. Up, and they might do 5 sets of 9 on each leg, something like that. And in comparison, the slow eccentrics with the barbell might be done in the rep range of like 6 triples or 6 doubles because of that slow eccentric is creating more time under tension. Now, one thing we can do then is progress. So we go from that body weight single leg squat now to the goblet squat. Boom. And then the next thing that you can do is start to really use this as a potential warm-up. So you can actually get a mobility band here, one of our power elastics, and you can even sort of focus here, come up and squeeze that knee back. This is a great, one, progression, but 2, it's a really good warm-up as well. And this might be like 4 sets of 7, 4 sets of 9 that you can do. Boom. Now, our knee's unstable when we land, and we notice that some of our players tend to wobble when they ground, and that's leading to some instability in their knee or instability in their ankle. So now this is pulling us out. So we want to control, boom, come back up. And you're going to feel that a little bit more in your adductor, but that's still going to create better hip co-contractions and knee co-contractions. That's going to be vital for performance and for health and longevity in the sport. The next progression would be taking that goblet, taking the banded versions. Now we're going to get into a version that's closer to that traditional slow eccentric. We're gonna get into a front rack single leg squat here. And we might wanna do 3 to 5 on each side, but focusing on being as stable as possible. So we can finish with our top-notch elite level volleyball players doing a weighted slow eccentric barbell single leg squat, and then work backwards. And if we've got those beginners, we can start with body weight. If we've got a little bit more advanced, get into the goblet. And then after that, we can go banded that pulls us to the front, or banded that pulls us to the side. And then we can get into that front rack single leg squat. And then finally, we're back to that elite level. We're gonna be giving away a free t-shirt, and all you guys have to do is 1, comment down below. 2, make sure that all of your channel notifications are active to Garage Strength. 3, show up to our Tuesday public live, ask as many questions as possible, and find out if you won this free shirt. Volleyball players tend to be tall. We know that they have long appendages. We know that they're playing a sport that operates at very, very high speeds. You still have to be strong. Even when you're extremely tall, you still have to have a capability of executing high speed movements in the weight room, so that can lead to optimizing your jumping ability, improving your ability to react, and stabilizing your shoulder as well, because there's such high speed movements around your shoulder joint. What joints are going to be more predisposed to injury, strengthen those as much as we can, while still thinking through that lens of how we can actually optimize that technical patterning that they're doing out on the court. And what you're about to see relates back to that sport-specific programming that we use inside of Peak Strength. Now, I want to talk about impulse expression. And when we can think about impulse, we want to think about force times time. And so if we look at a sport like volleyball, we have to be very, very fast. That's where this second amazing exercise comes into play, is that we want to focus on how much force can we develop in a short period of time. Inside of our at peak strength, when we're training volleyball players, we might use something like a 2-box snatch or a high hang snatch. So we're gonna demonstrate the high hang snatch and what that looks like. And I'm gonna talk about the speed required. So we're gonna get in position. And again, we wanna think about moving as fast as possible with good control. So we have to have some technical understanding of these lifts. So we're gonna get here, come up, boom, okay? Here, boom, my hat, here, boom, real fast, okay? Let's say as a volleyball player, you might just hit 5 triples, 4 sets of 4. You don't need to go super, super heavy. Keep it around 60 to 75%, but it's gotta be boom, 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 boom. Big hip extension, big shoulder stability overhead. Use this frequently inside of your training to optimize your performance and improve your co-contractions inside of your shoulder. So that's 2 exercises, right? The video's over. We've got the technical coordination movement with that high hang snatch, which improves our impulse expression, and we've got that absolute strength movement. But I do believe we have to train exercises that are gonna support those 2 main movements. We need to have some sense of accessory movements that will support the structure. And that's where this first exercise, I believe, is freaking phenomenal for volleyball players. 1, to warm up with, so you can use this strength power elastic, but 2, develop strength inside of your shoulder joint. So we're here and we're gonna do banded external rotation. All we wanna do is rotate down, boom, come up, come back down, nice and controlled. Okay, here, boom, 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 up. So this might be something that you can do like 3 sets of 12 to really, really warm up that shoulder girdle and try and feel your rhomboid and your scap retracting. Oh, I love that exercise. Now, that's a freaking phenomenal movement for volleyball players. And another one would be if we would hit, let's say, a dumbbell external rotation. So we're just here. If we have one side that has a bigger problem than another, typically, if you're right-handed, your right shoulder is going to have a lot more stress than your left shoulder in the sport of volleyball. Down controlled, down controlled, down controlled, boom, up fast. Now, I also believe because of the various jumping, the weird landing positions you might be in, you might have to jump, land on one leg, we have to train the posterior chain. If you're more advanced, you could do something like Nordic curls or razor curls. Really strengthen those hamstrings to help stabilize that knee joint. And you can do something very unique like this. You can use our single leg squat stand for this or a bench. Get set here. Try to feel your posterior chain with a single leg RDL where that back leg is supported. And then over time, you can improve this and lead into like a chaos single leg RDL. Oh, wow. You'll feel that you're more unstable on one side versus another. Especially volleyball players. They tend to jump, they'll favor one side over the other, and they'll land more so on their strong leg than their weak leg. So if I jump off of 2 feet, I'll still favor my left. If I jump off of one, I'm going off my left. Now, I'm not a volleyball player, but that's gonna be the standard typically that you would see when you're studying the mechanics. Now, if that weak side is pathetically weak, it's gonna be more prone to injury. So you have to use those accessory movements to stabilize that area. Now we're gonna get into 2 other areas to help improve your performance and then lead to better single leg squat execution and that high hang power snatch execution. One of the biggest aspects around strength training is that we have to think about strength training for performance and recovery. And that's exactly what we do inside of Peak Strength. So if you go to the peakstrength.app and you download Peak Strength, you can actually select the volleyball program where we're gonna focus on those key aspects. Now, dynamic trunk control is one key factor with all sports, specifically volleyball. If we can quiet what the noise is through our trunk, that's gonna help us have better hand-eye coordination. We're gonna be able to react faster, and that's gonna be trained through high-speed movements and through various slow eccentric movements. So there's a little uniqueness behind that training apparatus. That's exactly what we do inside Peak Strength. So we're gonna use this first exercise here. And we can do this unilaterally or bilaterally, but we're gonna go here, boom, boom. And I actually wanna think about here going for a dig and controlling this position here. Hide and jump, left to the right side. Pretend we're hitting that dig and we have to slam on the brakes. Here, boom, boom, here. Now, you would not typically do this as far as hitting a dig would be concerned, where you would go double leg, boom, but it can change the angle of how you're grounding, and you can still focus on that unilateral position. So you can train both sides with the unilateral landing here to here, or you can also go left side dominant from bilateral position like this, boom, boom. Think about hitting that dig there. So that's a unique way to train that trunk control. If I don't have trunk control, one, when I cut here, I'd probably collapse forward. I wouldn't have the core strength and the back strength, the posterior chain strength, to silence these joints and accelerate to the side. So then when we plant here, if I didn't have that trunk control, I'd probably fall this way. I really like something as simple as the ab wheel. A lot of people get super creative with their training. I'm just as guilty. But there's also some really big benefits from something as simple as an ab wheel. We actually got this ab wheel at a yard sale for $1. Now, we're gonna use our garage strength pad here that we showed you with the single leg squats. We're gonna get on here, and we're gonna do a slow eccentric, okay? And one thing is think about this being overhead. Boom, 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 boom. Overhead, boom, up fast. Boom. Boom. And you can progress this to the point of even doing it from a standing position. And you wanna think about almost having that hollow position, pushing your belly button through your spine. Now, my final favorite exercise to train your trunk control and that shoulder stability, this is a freaking fantastic movement that I believe pitchers should be using, javelin throwers should be using this, swimmers should be using this. So we're gonna get into this position here, split, and you can even have that isometric position here with the ankle to provide more stability. Now, I'm here, right? All right, I'm gonna go as fast as I can, and you can have your coach time you. Let's say 7 to 10 seconds. Boom, okay? Hold that. Holy crap, that was hard. Here. Oh, my left side's horrific, but you'll feel that in your trunk. And you can pair this with a hide and jump, or pair this with the ab exercise, which in turn is gonna fatigue this and then lead to more shoulder stability, ideally, and ankle stability. Think about volleyball players landing rolling ankles. If we can strengthen that and make their ankle more stiff, that in turn will help them jump higher. Think about going back to impulse expression with that high hang power snatch, improving that knee stability, back stability, trunk stability with the single leg squat, and then going through the shoulder accessory movements, the hamstring accessory movements, and then finally finishing off your workout with that DTC work, that dynamic trunk control exercises. This is all stuff that we do inside of our app, Peak Strength. You guys can go to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today for 7 free days of training. Click on the volleyball specific program to help with those bunnies, to help with that trunk control. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.